Welcome to another episode of Our Inner Sparks podcast. Happy 2021. Our Inner Sparks wishes everyone all the best in the new exciting year. We have decided to make some changes to our podcast in the new year to bring a fresh new energy. I am Lily Yan, your host of this podcast and founder of Our Inner Sparks, a social enterprise that provides products and services to enable individuals, businesses, and organizations to reach their fullest potentials in a fast and ever-changing world. We dedicate a portion of our profits to support and fund social programs to empower and enable those in the community, especially women in need. On our podcast, we will be featuring some amazing women in our communities doing extraordinary things. They will also be sharing some information, tips, and strategies around the area of their expertise to enable all of us to excel in our lives. If you like our program, please don't forget to subscribe. Just click on the subscribe button on your screen. If you would like to continually support the growth of our Inner Sparks social programs, such as this podcast, please consider a one-time or a subscription of donations on our website. Now, let's get to today's feature. On this first episode in 2021, I thought it couldn't be more appropriate than to invite someone to talk about a topic that most of us would put on our New Year's resolution: health and wellness. Today, I have invited Amy Ballantyne, a holistic health, wellness, and mindset coach, to speak to us on the topic of how to create sustainable lifestyle changes. Amy creates personalized, simplified approach to help her clients create healthy, balanced lifestyle. She also helps them to keep focused on accountability for long-term health habits. I'm so glad she's able to join us today to not only share her own story and her journey on this path to help others and guide others through wealth of health, but also to then give us some tips and strategies that we can actually use in our day-to-day. So I hope you will enjoy this episode and be able to use the strategies and approach shared in 2021. Good morning, Amy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm very excited that you will be chatting with us because, you've been working with people for a while on their mindsets, nutrition and fitness, helping people making sustainable lifestyle changes. And you call yourself their health cheerleaders, right? So I'm really glad that you're able to be our first guest in 2021 to help enlighten everyone on the subject of health and wellness. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome. So Amy, in your own words, who is Amy? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
Awesome. Thank you. So as you shared, I am your health cheerleader. What does that actually mean? Well, the story behind it is, of course, I am a former cheerleader, but what people always
That's cool.
What people always connected with was my energy and my enthusiasm.
Right.
And for as long as I can remember, I have been a person who has wanted to live a healthy lifestyle. And it actually comes down to the fact that my mom actually lost both of her parents before she was 10.
Oh.
And I grew up, missing these people, hearing about these individuals that I would never get to meet. And this fueled in me this deep desire to want to live long enough and be healthy enough to know my future grandchildren and great-grandchildren, because I didn't have that opportunity with these people. So I think there was a gift there. And I'm passionate about helping, especially women, but men as well, but especially women who feel like they're not enough, who feel like they have been told by different people in their journey that they're not beautiful enough, they're not fit enough, they're not smart enough, they couldn't possibly understand money. All of these components of being a powerful, confident woman, and I'm here to to support them on their journey. So yes, there's absolutely a component of wellness and nutrition, but it's deeper than just what are you going to eat and what are you going to do to move your body. We're talking about the conversations that we're having in our head, and the conversations that we're sharing with other people as well. Both matter so much. So that's a little bit about me, and I personally have been impacted by many of these things, so I can deeply relate to being a woman, a mom who at times hasn't felt enough and has lost some confidence along the way. And I have strategies and steps to help women to move into that next phase of who they want to be.
Oh, sounds wonderful and very inspiring. So what would you say is the most important thing that you've learned on your journey?
Oh my gosh, that's a big question. Most important thing. That we are enough. And just thinking about, one of the biggest moments in realizing that was the moment that I held my first baby.
Oh,
recognizing like this true miracle in front of me, right? That I was a part of, but only a piece. And that this little human was already everything and already enough and already absolutely incredible. And it didn't know how to read. It didn't know how to walk. It didn't know how to draw, but it was already enough. And so I think that was a gift for me in many ways, to connect with remembering that I was that small little human as well. And I didn't need to read or talk or do social media perfectly or any of those things. I was already enough.
and enough, and people already love you, right? And unconditionally. I know. And it's so interesting you say that, because we have so many inner critics that come out and pop out through our lives, no matter what we're doing, how wonderfully we're doing. They still come out. And it's important to remind ourselves we are enough.
Yes.
It's a very wonderful message. What do you like most about what you're doing now, your own journey?
Oh my goodness. What I love most about working with individuals is the aha moments that I receive through text from my clients who are having these breakthroughs because of the conversations that we had, but in the reflection time and in the time between our times together, they're having these moments of realization again about their confidence and how they stepped up, or how proud they are of themselves for making a plan around what food to buy. Or when I get a message from somebody who has like been eating every chip known to man, and now these strategies that I've helped them with, they aren't craving them anymore, and they are proud of themselves because they've made these shifts and are feeling better. And all of these messages, that's really what fuels me, because these people are the ones actually doing the work. I'm just there to guide them and support them, kind of like that GPS system, right? But they are the ones that are fully committed to shifting themselves in their life.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding to see, and because I do very similar type of work in coaching, but it's very rewarding when you see others move forward and gain from what you've done together. So that's amazing. So before we dive right into the topic of actual health and wellness, there's a segment that I like to do with you, which is called the In Search of True Fulfillment. It is a series of 3 questions. And in this set of questions, we are looking for short answers. So 1 sentence or 10 words to answer each of these questions.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. So the first one is, how do you define success?
Going within and connecting with real personal joy.
Nice. What makes you happy in life?
Witnessing others, joy, and shifts.
Wonderful. And what is the one thing that everyone should really take away from your journey that might help them ignite and harvest their inner sparks?
Really consider who it is that you want to be healthy for long term.
because I'm just thinking about it as you're asking that question. That's a good one. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for those inspiring thoughts. So now let's get into some of the specific health and wellness strategies, maybe, to help our audience kick off the new year. Because I know a lot of people, as we start a new year, we're really, got a whole list of things that we want to put on our new year resolution. And I know a lot of us will put wellness and fitness type of goals on there. So I guess let's kickstart with, what do you think are some of the biggest habits or greatest habits that people can start adopting to create sustainable lifestyle changes?
Awesome. Thank you. The first one that I would say is, often at this time of the year, people get really jazzed up to make these big changes, as you said.
Yeah.
And sometimes they overload their plate with, I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to stop eating chips. I'm going to go running for an hour every day. I'm going to do 50 crunches. I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to do journaling on gratitude.
I know. That's a lot to do all at once.
Right? And you have a real life that you already doing.
Yeah.
So the biggest habit and challenge that I would pose, and I do pose to people, is let's give yourself a break and pat yourself on the back that first of all, you want to make wellness a priority. So that's so awesome. We need to celebrate that internal desire, number one, but then pick one thing, maybe two things, but never more than two. And I would even challenge people to break it down even further to, if it's like, I'm talking with someone, they're like, I want to eat healthy. Well, what the heck does that even mean to you? So really thinking about you, not all the billions of other people. And that's one of the differences with me and working with people, is that I'm not let's follow this packaged one size fits all approach, because this is why there's hundreds of diets out there, because there's billions of people. There should be billions of diets actually, right? Because we're all different. So it's recognizing what is the thing that you want to start with, and let's master that. Let's focus on that thing. So if you know that over the holidays, for example, maybe you had quite a few pieces of chocolate.
Guilty. Yes.
Guilty as charged. So for me, and this is me using me as a real example, I had a lot of chocolate because I love chocolate. It brings me joy. I love it. The difference is I don't beat myself up to the degree that others often do when eating chocolate. So number one, it's looking at, okay, if you're like me and you had a lot of chocolate this holiday season, and that's the thing you want to focus on, it's one area of health that would make a big shift, would make a shift in your health if you had it in better moderation, right? So what does that actually mean, better moderation? So does it mean that to start, I'm only going to have chocolate instead of 7 days a week? I'm going to have it 5 days a week or 3 days a week. But the thing is that I'm going to choose it and nobody else is going to tell me. And I'm going to really congratulate myself when I make this decision. And then how am I going to hold myself accountable to this new choice, right? Because that's the thing. So there's some different options. So if you're saying, you also had a chocolate thing, perhaps we can be accountability partners to say, okay, you know what, this is what I've decided for my chocolate shift. And notice my language. I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm just saying, I know this is what I did, but what I want to have happen is I want to go back to having chocolate mindfully, sporadically, because that's what my body feels the best in. That's when I know I'm having, my skin is looking good. My poops are looking good. Yes, I said it on a podcast. All those.
We can talk about that afterwards.
All those bits and pieces that are important, right? It's recognizing how we are going to stay on track. Yeah. So I would then, or maybe I would post a note so my whole family knows that, I'm only going to have this, but it's more about actually enjoying it when I have it. So have you ever known someone, I'm sure you have, who has eaten an entire chocolate bar or an entire bag of chips and had this moment of where did it go? I
Who
know
are you
I'm not
talking
alone,
about?
right? I know I'm not
Yeah,
alone,
right?
right? So the food that you have now eaten very quickly is gone and you have no recollection of it whatsoever, right?
Yep.
This is real. And this doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're not enough. It doesn't mean that you have no control. It doesn't mean like any of these stories that we put around food. It doesn't mean any of those things. Okay. It's stopping and making a decision to have it mindfully. So when I do have my chocolate this week, I'm going to actually go to a place where, and this is another one. So have you ever known someone who has eaten the chocolate like kind of in secret, or hides in the cupboard, or the
Yeah, so no one else knows that you have
yes,
eaten.
or like eats the chips really fast while watching TV, right? So I want to challenge those people like me. And what I will be doing is I'm going to have my treat mindfully at a place where I can actually enjoy that treat, where I can actually enjoy that treat, right? So it's looking at, can you have the treat and actually taste it?
Yeah.
Actually savor it, because this is the reason why we're having it, right? Is because we enjoy it.
That's
Right?
a
So
great
if you
point.
like chips,
Yeah.
have the bowl.
Yep.
And it like actually taste them and actually think about, I'm enjoying this moment. It's the same as like we're all craving family and connection, right? Because we have had such a weird
Yeah,
time
I
of
know. It's
not a
so
lot of
true.
family,
Yeah.
right? And food is often that for us. So how can we really shrink down, choose one health habit we want to focus on, make it really measurable and accountable and focused, right? When we choose too many things, how can we actually succeed at any of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many great things you talked about, the prioritization, but also I really like that savoring part. It's not that you cut it out and you don't have it, but it's in being mindful and enjoy it when you do have it, so that it's almost like it's more meaningful as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Really great suggestion. What would you say is a big pitfall for people? Because I know, and I think you mentioned that with a little bit with kind of going in with so many things and wanting to achieve all. But if you pick one, and what would you say some of the big pitfall that people should be watching out for?
I think one of the biggest pitfalls really is this mindset that has been ingrained from TV, all of the different social outlets, as well as our own upbringing, people around us, people in college, university, friends in high school, all of these messages that are constantly bombarding us. The big pitfall is I've had the thing, so I might as well have the rest of the bag because I've failed. I'm using air quotes for those listening, because I failed myself and I broke the thing that I said I wouldn't do. And that's why I'm a huge proponent of not cutting things out altogether, because you're setting yourself up for this feeling of, I'm not enough, I can't do it, yada, yada, right? It's all these stories. But if we can set ourselves up for success in saying, I'm going to have 2 times chocolate this week, and I'm going to enjoy the heck out of those chocolate moments, and I'm going to make them special, right? I'm going to make this moment special, right? And I'm going to look forward to that moment, and I'm going to congratulate myself because I enjoyed it, I was mindful, all those things, instead of saying, well, I'm going to cut this out altogether. And then you have one, and then you beat yourself up, and then you have 20 of the cookies or 2 bags of the chips because you already might as well, because you already quote unquote failed.
Right.
So let's take that word out of the dictionary,
No, and so true, because and then we give up on ourselves for a little bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's so wonderful. You brought up the topic of poop, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about this, because I know you wrote a book on this, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about this book and what it is and what does it bring to people?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So Mr. Poop Knows Poop is a book. It's a children's book, but really it's it's my way of like trying to help the adults around the children as well, because they're the ones reading the book most of the time, right? So there's multi-purpose here. It's a gentle reminder of things that can help us be more healthy, right? That's really at the end of the day. So at the beginning of the Mr. Poop book, Mr. Poop is teaching about the digestive process. So he's talking about what happens when you first think of food. He's talking about as you take it in and what happens and what other organs are a part of it. And of course it's a kid's book. So I had to be mindful of like not getting crazy sciencey. So I'm using like more childlike words, but I'm still, listing the pancreas. I'm still talking about the intestines, the words about the system are still there, but I'm trying to, make it more for children. And Mr. Poop is in funny different positions, entertaining throughout the story.
Very cute.
My favorite is watching the different kids that have already received their Mr. Poop book from Amazon. Yes. And they have been sending me pictures of which Mr. Poop picture they like the best. Aww. So that's really fun. And then the second part of the book is about some tips. Mr. Poop has tips to have a good poop. And I could have broken it up into 2 books, but I was just like, no, Mr. Poop needs to tell the whole picture, right? This is what happens, and this is how we can make it even better. Right. So things like, and again, really, it's not rocket science, but it's that reminder, right? And I really believe that in having kids, one, I never thought I would think about, or touch as much poop as I have in my...
Right? Yes, I agree.
Like, really. Yeah. So other people can relate to that, I know. Yeah. But things like having water. My one child has some challenges with constipation. So I live this with a kid, and now I have a book that I can talk with her about some of these different things and why we maybe need to have more water, especially when we're outside in the heat. And this has been a struggle. So not that I'm going to bust out my Mr. Poop book every time, but for parents who are struggling with these conversations with their kids, my goal is to make it, again, the reason why anybody writes about poop is to bring more awareness to the fact that we all poop. It is a very good indicator of our health and what we've been taking in. And if things aren't moving along nice and smoothly and every single day, there are components that impact our health. Yeah. So there are some tips for kids that they can understand with drawings that help them understand how to make these healthy choices. And that's the mission, right? Is to have those conversations happening around those more and more families around the world that poop matters. Right. And we can make small adjustments in our day to really impact our overall health.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a brilliant idea, making it relatable to the audience and present it in a fun way that they're really learning real information. I mean, you said you're not trying to put too much science in it, but that's a lot of science in it. But present it in a relatable and fun, engaging way that they can learn at that age. So it's great. And also, like you said, the parents are getting benefits from it too. So understanding it, even as they are presenting it to their children. What a great idea. So
and
congratulations on that.
I am making a donation to a charity that I'm really passionate about. So 10% of the profits will be going to help purchase nutritionals for children around the world who are malnourished. So that is part of the give back from, sharing this message of poop.
Oh, wonderful. That's amazing. Very inspiring. Thank you so much, Amy, for being on the show today and sharing your story and expertise.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. We are going to make all the information, including Mr. Poop's book on Amazon, the link and all that on our show notes. So everyone who's listening can actually get a copy and also get in touch with you and get connected with you. So thank you all the listeners for being on our first show for 2021. And we're hoping to bring you a lot more interesting topics and wonderful feature guests on our show. So let's talk soon.
Your thoughts on this episode is encouraged on all our social media platforms, which are listed in the podcast descriptions. I hope you will consider joining us on our online community. I look forward to seeing you there. If you like our programs, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on that bell to get notifications of any new programs. If you would like to continually support the growth of our social programs, please consider a one-time or a subscription of donations. Should you or someone in your life have been actively contributing in the community and have some expertise that could be shared on our podcast, please feel free to email me with a nomination for future features. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Our Inner Sparks Featured Insights.